Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Andrea, London-based fashion photographer, and today in this video I wanted to talk a bit more about how I shoot portraits. I've done a recent shoot when the weather wasn't so bad like it is now because it's freezing and it's raining. But the weather was quite nice. It was a very sunny day and the autumn colors were just beautiful. So I decided to do a shoot in the park with Eliza, and we met, and it was really sunny. Like, it was beautiful, you know, when you get that sunlight, which is perfect. And we decided to shoot there. So I'm going to talk a bit more about that shoot and how I shot portraits, because it was mainly a portrait photo shoot. When I shoot, I love shooting fashion and like street photography, but I also like to shoot portrait photography. So I think with portrait photography, what I like about it is it's like the emotion that you get from it, like when you're like shooting up close the model, and you could basically all that matters in that photo is the facial expression and the emotion the model transmits to you, and I really like that. What can I say? So in terms of the settings, of course, the lower the f-stop, the better it is for portraits, because you create that blurred background, that depth of field that we all look for. And of course, that will be in terms of technicalities, that lower f-stop would be the best. And that depends also on the lens you have. So for example, at the beginning when I started, I had a 50mm lens. F-stop was 1.4, and that was probably really good for portraits. I really liked it because everything, even though I didn't know how to shoot and I was learning a lot, but that lens helped a lot in terms of shooting portraits. So I would recommend, of course, it's up to you and your budget and everything, but just look for that. If you want to shoot just portrait photography, you should find the lens. The 50mm lens is really good for portraits, and then of course the lower the f-stop, the better. For me, that's the most important thing, the f-stop when I shoot portraits, and of course the shutter speed and ISO, that more influences how the photo in terms of light, and of course other settings, light shot. If, for example, you have a low shutter speed and you want to do something very blurred, so the portrait be a bit more something, just make that person be more have a more dynamic portrait, you know what I mean. But yeah, anyway, so basically on this shoot I shot with my Sony A7iii, and we shot, as I said, many portraits. I liked in this shoot, I like to play a lot with what I have near me. So when I shoot portrait photography, I always look to see what I find, so I can play around and create different shapes, different shadows in the photos. So for example, sometimes I would cover the lens with my hand for a bit to create that sort of I don't know, just different shadows, different lights. I do that sometimes. Or for example, as I did in this shoot, I used the leaves that were around me, so I played a lot with that and the shadows they created on her face because of the sunlight, and playing with that, and of course positioning her within the background. And what I suggest is basically just play with what you have available. So depending on where you shoot, just play with your background, use your background to your advantage, because I think that's the most important thing when shooting in general. Look around you and see what you can create. Of course, we also played a bit with throwing leaves in the air, as you can see in these photos, and that was really cool, but it took us a while until we got that. I kept asking her to throw more leaves until I got that shot that I wanted. So yeah, again, playing with what I had around me to create something different. Of course, I love taking portraits, just simple portraits, me shooting the model, focusing on her facial expressions, and you could see that I've done that in this shoot a lot, and I like to do that because it brings a lot. Like when you shoot someone up close, it brings a lot from their emotions, from their facial expression. So I do that a lot. I also sometimes shoot in black and white, because I think shooting a portrait in black and white changes perspective. I shoot of course in RAW, so that photo, that black and white, could be color as well. Sometimes, you know, when I edit, I look at it and I'm like, okay, maybe I want this black and white because it adds a lot more feelings, more, I don't know how to say, emotion to it. So I like to do that sometimes. With portraits, as I said, playing around what you have available, focusing. Of course, when you shoot portrait, it's important to how the composition of the photo. So make sure you know how you see. Of course, it could be very subjective to. It's subjective to how you feel you want that photo to look like when you look through your viewfinder. But basically, just focus on the model and how you can put into perspective, like the features of her face, the emotion, and especially shooting in direct sunlight can be taunting for some people. I know a lot of people don't really like the sun as much. That's why they prefer shooting in the studio, or they prefer shooting when there is no sun, because the sun can be hard to manipulate sometimes. And I love shooting in the sun. I think probably, if you ask me, the best light that I ever had in my life was the sunlight. Like, you can't, because it's the sunlight and it's something natural that happens. So I love shooting in the sun, even though it's hard. Like, you have to like make sure the photo is not too exposed, work on your settings a lot, because the sun, when you work with the sun and direct sunlight, the sun moves a lot. Clouds appear, then the light changes, and then you have shadows, and then it just constantly, like, the light changes constantly every second. When you shoot in the studio, of course, you can manipulate the light, so you can have the right light settings for the whole of your photo shoot, because it's manipulated by you. With shooting in direct sunlight, you don't manipulate that. You don't know, it could be sun a minute, and then in the second minute it will be gone, you know. So I like shooting in direct sunlight. As you can see in these photos, I like shooting and kind of like make sure my photo is not exposed, and create that sort of like cinematic kind of look when shooting in direct sunlight. Make the portraits, I don't know, just tell a story through it, because I think with the shadows and the sun and everything that just happens naturally, and of course the model and her expressions, you create the whole story than just when you shoot when the sun disappears. So the sun, as I said, the sun moves a lot, of course, the light moves a lot. So I had some photos in which the sun wasn't there anymore, so you could tell the difference. Of course, the photos are good, I like them, but you could tell the difference, and you could tell that the sun just contributes so much to the photo, and I absolutely love that. Again, also I think, as I said, composition is very important. I think you have the camera, yeah, you look through your viewfinder and you see the photo, and you like know where to position the model. Also, because in the camera you can see exactly where the light hits. So if, like, when it's direct sunlight, there's loads of shadows on her face. So for example, I was playing around with the leaves as well, so the shadows can sometimes be a bit weird, and you have to position your model, and you have to make sure she's like in this position and the light hits her face like this, and it's like, of course, that's also how you see, like, you learn it as you shoot. That's how I learned it. I didn't have a manual, and I was like, okay, so this light is like this is soft light, this is hard light, this is, you know, I of course learned about it, and of course tried to learn more at the beginning when I was just starting out. But the best way I've learned to shoot and to manipulate settings and to position the model was to shoot, and to shoot like every day, and to see, and not necessarily shoot every day, but when I go outside and I walk and I go somewhere, I see everything in a photograph, like a photograph. So everything in front of me is a photograph, and every single light, every single piece of that I see in my surroundings is a photograph to me. Actually, it's also like, it's like an exercise. Like, I took a course by Greg Williamson. He's an amazing photographer. He shoots a lot of celebrities, and he did like a short course in which he explains more of his way of shooting. And I really liked the way he said that, you know, just take a magazine or take a book, a magazine, like a photography book, look at the photos and try to tell where the light, where they position the light. So if you were in the studio, where was the light? What were the lights? The main light, you know, like the backlight. Just look at that. If it was shot outside, which light they had outside? Where was the light? And I think that's a very good exercise if you want to learn more, because that's what I do. That's what I try to do, and I try to imagine, you know, where's the light, where the light hit, you know, and then it's much easier to position your model in your photo, and to manipulate the light, basically, even if you're outside. So yeah, that's a good exercise. I could suggest a good tip on that. So yeah, it's, of course, when shooting portraits, as I said, it's important. The light, the position. If you play with your surroundings and you try to add shadows, and as I did, for example, in this part of the shoot, we shot on a bench, and you could see, so she was sitting here on the bench. The sun was somewhere here. There were some trees during the part. So there were a couple of trees here, and you had the sun right here, and the sun was hitting through the tree branches. So it wasn't like direct sunlight on her face, so the sun was not on her face and you had plenty of light and you could just work with it. No, the sun was through the branches. So the lights were going like the rays of sunshine, you know, it was going like this, boom, 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 boom. So you had light all over the place. So the bench was here, half of the bench was pitch black in terms of, you know, no light from the sun there. So, and then there was a tiny bit of light right kind of like in the middle of the bench, and if she moved at any point she would be out of the light. So it was like, I was like trying to get her into the light, moving her constantly, until she was in that bit of light that I wanted her to be and kind of like look at the sun. Because if she was looking at me, so I was like here, the bench was here, sun was here. If she was looking at me, there would be weird shadows on her face. So she would have to like look straight up there to the sun through the trees, for the light to like kind of hit her face. I thought these photos looked really good in black and white. Of course, I have some color ones as well, which you can see here, but the black and white ones were just amazing. From like my perspective, I love them so much. And the way she was sat in the middle of the bench, kind of like manipulating again, playing with the light. That's what you do basically. You play with the light until you get the result you want to get. And maybe someone wants half of the face in the shadows and half of the face in the sun, or you want to, you know, it's a different perspective. It's very subjective, so it's up to you on how you see everything. So yeah, that's what I did there. We shot for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. So we didn't shoot a lot. As I said, it was a quick shoot, but the colors and everything, the background and kind of that autumnal feeling was just amazing, because I just loved it. So yeah, even in those like photos where I said the light was just a bit of light, you see there was some shadow on her face, so you can see like the light was just like kind of here, and then there was some shadow on the face. But I really like that, yeah, I really like that. So yeah, I think that's what I've done a lot. As I said, you can see the difference from when I shot in direct sunlight and when I didn't shoot in direct sunlight. it's tricky, yes, using the sunlight, but I think it helps you learn a lot, and it's the best light that you could ever have. For me, I love the sun. Everything just changes when you put a model in the sun or anything in the sun, and it's just wow. But yeah, these are my main tips from this shoot and from shooting portrait photography. I just wanted to tell you a bit more about this shoot and about what I do when I shoot for portrait photography. I really like this shoot, and we tried to shoot some film as well, but I only got these 2 photos which are blurred. Although it's really cool, but very blurred. But yeah, they have a pink to them, let's say. To take from this is basically just do as you feel when you are there shooting, and also take into consideration the light, the position of the model, so composition, and what is around you and how you can use that to your advantage. For example, I had leaves, so I used that to my advantage. I played with them as much as I could. Like, I took so many photos just with the leaves in all sorts of position, throwing them up in the air, put them on your face, half of the face. Yeah. A bit like playing with the shadows of the leaves. Yeah, just everything you have in your surroundings, because you could create something really cool and you didn't even think of it. You were like maybe shooting outside, taking a portrait, simple, but then if you have something around you and you didn't see it before, and now you see it and you're like, aha, so I can do something like that. But yeah, and of course your settings and just playing around and editing. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time with a new video. Bye bye, like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, I hope it helps. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you.